Everyone call to order, please. Thank you. All right, it's 6:30, and I'm calling to order this county board meeting, March 20th, 2014. Call to, excuse me, roll call, please.
Bergson. Here. Carter. Coert. She's here. Thank you. Esri.
Here.
Harper. Hartke.
Here.
James. Here. Jay.
Here.
Kibler.
Here.
Langenheim. Here. Maxwell. Here. McGuire. Michaels.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Petrie.
Here.
Quisenberry.
Here.
Richards.
Here.
Rosales.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Alex. Kurtz.
Here. We have a quorum. What's that?
Chris is here.
Chris Alex is here? Okay. He's not here until he's here. And Stan Harper will not be here tonight. I'll make that in communications. Can I have the, read the notice of the meeting, please? What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss that, didn't I? All right, the prayer tonight. We take a moment, please. For each new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends, for everything thy goodness sends. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Notice of the meeting, please.
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on March 20th, 2014 at 6:30 p.m. in the Lyle Shields Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters that may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept? No, so
Second.
moved by James, second by Jeff. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Motion, please. Max, second. Lorraine. We have some changes. Please note your agenda. First, we're removing from 11B2, we're moving B2, remove that item completely. That's 11B2. That's known, that's a moot issue now. We're also on other business in 13. We're going to move the C on the addendum before A and B in other business. Is that correct? C and D, excuse me. We're moving C and D before B on other business, 13 other business. Everyone have that? Are there any other changes or to the addendum? Chris?
Finance wants to remove item, sorry, give me just a
Are
second.
we talking about the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Did we move it at the consent agenda?
Oh,
We
sorry,
moved
yeah,
it
I apologize, Mr. Chair.
Should we, Deb, do we move it at the consent agenda? Okay, thank you. All right. Are there any other changes to the agenda or addendum? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have date and time and next regular meetings, standing committees, committee of the whole, and county board for April. And please note the times and dates, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept first, and then we'll get on the changes on the floor. First, Max. Second, I need a second. Stan. Okay. Now, I'll take motions to remove from the consent agenda. First, Patsy. What are you pulling, Patsy?
I'm pulling A1
hold on. A1 for primary engineering for Wilbur Heights. Okay, we'll go for A1. We'll put that under ELOC. That's A1 consent. Okay, and Chris, did you have another?
Same with D5.
I'm sorry, which one?
D5,
D as in David, 5?
yes, finance 5.
D5 coming off. The general code zoning and enforcement, 20,000, okay. Also Wilbur Heights, okay. All right, obviously, we're gonna have some discussion there. All right, so that D5 will also go under, well, it's gonna go under finance, Chris. Under finance, on the top of the agenda, okay? Okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you. So it'll be D5 under finance, D5 consent. Okay, are there any other changes to the consent agenda before we approve? Okay, fine. All in favor? Well, sorry, roll call, right? Roll call, please.
Bergson? Cowart? Esri? Hartke?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Kibler?
Yes.
Langenheim? Langenheim? Maxwell?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Petrie?
Yes.
Quisenberry?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Rosales?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes. Doesn't have my name, it just says Mr. Chairman. Okay, I'll go with that. All right, well, I don't have it. Do we have any public, I don't, was there any public participation? I don't see any slips here. None tonight? Oh, well, we can move ahead to communications. I have 3. I met today, this afternoon, with Congressman Rodney Davis at his office, and we went over 3 items, and I want to bring to you 3 of his letters that are going to the media, as well as press releases to our county board. First letter is Chairman Al Kurtz. Honorable Kurtz, as a member of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, I share your concern about reliable rail transportation in the state of Illinois. I will work with my colleagues on common-sense bipartisan solutions to address these issues and specifically to increase the frequency of trains between the cities of Champaign and Chicago. Thank you for your concern on this issue. Second letter. Chairman Kurtz, Honorable Kurtz, I write today to inform you that I believe it is imperative to block disposals of PCBs and other hazardous chemicals at the Clinton landfill because I share your concern about the Mahomet Aquifer remaining as a viable source of drinking water for generations to come. Thank you for your work on this important issue. Rodney Davis. Third letter. Chairman Al Kurtz, Honorable Kurtz, in response to the Federal Emergency Management Agency FEMA decision to deny the state of Illinois request for public assistance following the devastating storms on November 7th, 2013, I introduced bipartisan legislation to finally bring fairness to the FEMA disaster declaration process. Time and time again, we've seen FEMA deny downstate communities from receiving federal assistance following storms. Gifford and Washington are 2 of the most recent examples, but just 2 years ago, Harrisburg in southern Illinois was denied as well. It simply isn't right when a storm leaves behind damage in Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky, and the only communities to be denied federal assistance are those in Illinois. The current system puts downstate and rural communities at a strong disadvantage, and that has to change. The Fairness in Federal Disaster Declarations Act of 2014 will provide more certainty to states and small communities impacted by disasters by giving FEMA a clearer, more substantive formula when evaluating disaster areas. This bill assigns a specific weight to each of the factors already used by FEMA and adds other economic factors for the agency to consider when determining whether or not a disaster area shall receive federal assistance. Most importantly, the bill would be retroactive to include all the storms that occurred in 2013. Thank you for inquiring about this important piece of legislation, Rodney Davis. Is there any other communication on the floor? we'll move forward into, oh, I'm sorry, thank you, that's right. This is this Saturday, isn't it? Yes. This Saturday, on March 22nd, the Illinois Association of County Board Members will hold a Zone 3 meeting here in this room. Coffee and Danish at 8:30. Representatives and elected officials from this area will be in attendance. There'll be a 9 a.m. to noon conference with them, and all board members here are invited as well, all elected officials in Zone 3 as well. I think you have a flyer on your desk with the information. Is there any other communication? Okay, thank you. We'll move to a motion to approve minutes February 20th and 25th of 2014, the study session.
So moved.
I'm sorry. James, second. Aaron. Are there any changes or? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll start with county facilities, standing committee. Stan, do you have anything?
I wasn't able to attend, so Mr. Quisenberry can relate to that for me.
Sure. James?
There was no specific action taken at that meeting. Several topics were discussed, including a bid on demolishing the part of the old nursing home, which we should see coming up in April. We talked about the Illinois Green Business Association starting their analysis of Brookins and other county facilities, and we discussed establishing an engineer to work on HVAC systems for Brookins, which will need attention this year, and that would be selected through our QBS system. Those are the main points. We did, I don't know what the status of it is now, we did find out that the west face of the courthouse clock tower was lit by LEDs. So if you want to compare what the new LEDs look like versus incandescent, it was at least true at the facilities meeting, but I don't know if it's still true. I assume it is.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. ELOC, Ralph? Thank you. We pulled the consent agenda, A1.
What?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right. Item number 1, adoption of ordinance number 940, amended zoning ordinance 732-AT-12, deferred from November 21st, December 19th, January 23rd, and February 20th. We want to take this up today. I move approval.
Okay, we have a second by Aaron. We need, there is a protest concerning this resolution. We'll need 17 votes for passage. And so we'll need a roll call on this one, please. Discussion on the issue. I thought we've discussed this. It's been deferred so many times. I don't remember if we discussed it in the first time. Is there any discussion on this issue?
It can be summarized. Hensley Township believes that it will interfere with a business out there. The Zoning Board of Appeals approves it, and there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears over it. We need a large vote. We've deferred it. We were trying to defer it until we got a full attendance, but this looks to be about as good as we can do, so we'll take a vote on it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please. Let's see what happens.
Bergson?
Yes.
Cowart? Yes. Esri?
Yes.
Harkey?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
Kibler?
Yes.
Langenheim?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Michaels? Mitchell?
Yes.
Petrie?
Yes.
Quisenberry?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Rosales?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes, and I showed 20-1, and that passes. 19, sorry, close enough.
From the
19,
bottom-
thank you, finally.
Yeah,
Let's
from-
get this off the.
From the bottom of my miserable heart, I
I've
thank
had
you
enough
all.
of this resolution, thank you. Okay, let's move
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Ralph,
Now, we have an
No,
item
Ralph,
brought in
Ralph.
from the consent agenda. Resolution authorizing a contract with Burns and Clancy and Associates to complete preliminary engineering report for Wilbur Heights drainage issues. It's been resolved that we pass that. It's not to exceed $2,600. And it's further resolved that Champaign County Board Chairman, let's go back. Be it further resolved that the Champaign County Board authorizes Alan Kurtz, County Board Chair, to execute the aforesaid contract. I so move.
Second, I'm sorry, Stan. Okay, now, I'm sure we have a discussion here on this issue, since it was pulled from consent, and it was pulled by Patsy. Do you want to speak to this, Patsy, since you pulled it?
Yes. The reason that I asked for it to be pulled is because this was a conversation at ELUC, and I wanted to share with the full board it is a concern, because when this originally was brought before ELUC by Ms. Chevarria and by Jonathan Manuel, and explained to us what is the situation in Wilbur Heights, which is rather dire. There's no question about that. And their stormwater and flooding needs attention. However, during that first discussion, we were left with the impression that there would be efforts to pursue or strongly pursue, especially for economic reasons, sustainable and green solutions to the way to work through and solve that flooding problem. The next time that this came before ELUC, there was nothing in the RFP indicating that that was an important factor that we would like to have considered by whomever got the RFP and how they responded to the RFP. So I did want to let the board know that I was seriously discouraged that on one hand, it was presented to us as a very strong probable approach to help work through what's going on in Wilbur Heights and has been going on for a long time. But in actual fact, when the RFP was written and put out, and because it was under the $30,000 threshold that we've established for review of RFPs, it was put out without it ever coming before the board, and I did not have a chance at that time to remind what had been told to us previously. So my whole purpose here is to get it out into the public domain so that Burns and Clancy, as they're doing this work, should this be approved, both under ELUC and under finance, that there's strong consideration given as they evaluate that project that they do as much as possible in a green and sustainable manner.
Thank you. Stan and then Gary.
Could I call for a suspension of the rules so we can have Susan? Don't?
No.
Okay. Could we have Susan tell
Yeah.
us why that was left out of the RFP?
Susan?
Thank you.
The RFP was written in a very generic manner so that we can try to get very creative in terms of what kind of solutions might be offered for what is a very difficult situation. So I didn't want to specify in writing the RFP that we should focus only on green, sustainable options, but we should look at everything that we possibly can to see what will work best for that community and also for this county.
Gary?
Thank you. Susan, can you walk me through the process that you went through to send the RFP out? Who you
Hold on,
sent it out?
Gary?
Before you do that, I want to tell you that the standard QBS requirements did not apply to this RFP, and neither did the county's purchasing policy require a full-blown RFP process. So Susan did use an abbreviated RFP process because that was nothing more than that was required, either by the state law or by the county's purchasing policy.
Thank you, Deb. Again, tell me about the process. Did you actually advertise in a paper or anything for this, or did you just send it out to selected firms?
I sent it out to 4 selected firms instead of advertising fully in the newspaper.
Thank you.
Astrid, microphone, please. There.
Were any of those firms landscaping or green firms?
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I can't answer that, but I did do online research of each of the firms, more than just the 4 that I narrowed it down to try to see who would be the best fit for this type of stormwater project.
Okay. That thing we were 5 years behind on, the state thing about stormwater management and so on, has, a lot about dealing with stormwater sustainably. And I don't see that we've been doing it, as far as I can see.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Gary, go ahead.
I intend to support this resolution because I feel that there's a great need up at Wilbur Heights, and I don't want to do or say anything that's going to detract from that fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Are there any other questions for Susan? Any other discussion on this issue? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on. Do you have anything else, Ralph?
Nothing left from ELOC.
ELOC's completed. Thank you. Lorraine, do you have anything to report? Microphone, please.
Call it a general statement.
The Highway Committee has nothing for board action.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to finance. Chris?
Thank you. We'll take the item from the consent agenda,
Sure.
D5. Finance moves adoption of resolution number 8806, authorizing budget amendment 14-11, increased appropriations of $20,600, increased revenue of $3,000, increase in appropriations to complete the aforementioned Wilbur Heights preliminary engineering report.
Second.
And I so
Second.
move.
James is second. Do we have discussion on this at all? All right, we'll move forward.
And we will need
I'm
a roll,
sorry.
we'll need a roll call on this, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's right, it's 20,000, okay. Can I have since there's no further discussion, roll call, please, on this issue?
Bergson,
Yes?
Cowart. Esri,
Yes.
Harkey,
Yes.
James. Yes. Jay.
Yes.
Kibler,
Yes.
Langenheim,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels. Yes. Mitchell,
Yes.
Petrie,
Yes,
Quisenberry,
Yes.
Richards. Rosales. Schrader,
Yes.
Schwartz. Alex.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes. 5-10, I think we passed. Motion carries, thank you. Chris, you want to move on?
Yes, sir. I move adoption of, sorry, I'm doing too many things at once. Move adoption of resolution number 8796, payment of claims authorization.
Second? Second, John Jay. You want to speak to it?
I just have a question. Deb, what is our average monthly payment of claims? Is this unusually high, or is this average 6 million?
You know, the auditor's here, he probably knows.
There's
better
JJ.
than
Mr. Farney, could you step forward, please?
It's just a little bit higher than average. Usually it's in the 5,500,000 range.
All right, thank you. The question was asked at our caucus, so I figured I'd ask it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, I move adoption of resolution number 8797, purchases not following the purchasing policy. This report having been distributed at the Finance Cow.
Have a second, please. Second. Second by Stan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Chris, is that it for you? Okay. James?
Mr. Chairman, policy moves the adoption of resolution number 8798 in opposition to Senate Bill 3263, and I so move.
All right, have a second, please. Patsy. A second for Patsy. Any discussion on this? James?
Mr. Chair, I would also like to make an amendment to the resolution as it is currently written, and I will speak slowly. That amendment would be added before the final statement, after, with an additional, be it further resolved. And that additional, be it further resolved, is that the Champaign County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, supports the notion of providing a basic level of regulation of commercial wind energy facilities at the state level, as long as individual counties can establish or maintain additional regulations to protect its citizens and the current rights to revenue associated with commercial wind farm or wind energy facilities are maintained.
I have a second for Mr. Hartke.
And
Do
we
you
had
want
a-
to speak to that, Jim?
Yes, at our caucus, Ms. Petrie reported on a discussion she had at the Farm Bureau with regard to this resolution, and the interest in, as far as the state goes, allowing wind farms to exist in counties that have not gotten off the ball and established a regulation policy. So in a sense, we don't have any problem with that, with establishing a base level, but what we have a problem with is them taking away our rights to regulate it in how we see fit, and taking away potentially the revenue that we've established through that regulation. So if this resolution, or this Senate bill was changed to accommodate that, to allow some existing legislation allows counties to overlay their own regulations on top of a base level. And of course, we don't want to give up this revenue to the state now that we've established it, and probably are already spending it as it comes in. So the intent of this was to give guidance on what we would support, while we say, as it stands right now, taking away all of our rights to regulate is not acceptable.
Jeff, you had something to say?
Mr. Quisenberry, in your addendum, I apologize, I think I've got it formulated correctly. You're stating that if the state produces these sets of rules, that we can then further add to them. What if there's a direct conflict with our current set of rules with the state? Which one supersedes the other? I would almost argue that Champaign County should be looking for a way to have its own set of rules and almost change the way the state law reads. It says if you don't currently have your own set of bylaws, you must abide by these, whereas the county can set their own set of policies.
James, you want to respond?
Yeah, I'll respond to that. I think the intent is the same. I mean, there was a discussion of whether we would suggest grandfathering counties that have already done this, but that means that other counties that finally get off the dime and want to do their own regulation don't have a path to it. So what you've said, I think the intent of this is that we can further regulate. So it doesn't address conflict, and I'm not sure how that would be. I mean, I don't think that we'd want to be less regulatory than what the state, the base level that's proposed in this process, but maybe I'm just being naive.
Astrid?
Well, since one of the whereases is that it eliminates current county authority to continue to regulate existing commercial wind energy facilities, and the first one says it deletes the language allowing us to establish standards. I mean, this is not an amendment, it really reverses it. And I think opposing it would send the message more clearly that we do oppose it. To me, it looks like a wind farm lobbyist's dream to get the counties off its back.
James?
Yeah, and I will add, this additional, be it further resolved, is intended to give feedback as to what it might look like that we would support, as opposed, because we absolutely, I'm not going to speak for us, but I absolutely am against the idea of deleting the language that allows us to do this. But this takes the further step of saying there is some intent here that we think might be positive for expanding wind energy use in the state. But this is how we'd like to see it be revised. So I don't know if I'm interested in being much more specific than that.
Ralph, you had something to say.
Just as a general principle, I think we should support this because after all, we're closest to our own problems and we should be regulating them. There's no reason why the state should be encroaching on us.
That's a good question. So, Chris, go right ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better than Ralph did. I mean, this is just basically a very likely a power and revenue grab by the state in the guise of attempting to promulgate regulations for counties that have not promulgated their own. I would be supportive of the amendment because I think it maybe does a better job at explaining to the state what the basis for our objection is. But whether the amendment passes or fails, I'll certainly support opposing this state action.
I'm going to pass off the baton, so to speak, to John so that I can make a statement to this. John, you take that?
Mr. Kurtz.
Thank you. I sat down with John Hall, and we've been going over this issue quite extensively. There are 5 pages of notes that John has produced for us in conflict with this resolution, with this bill by Senator Sullivan. As we've all seen, it does seem to be like a power grab to take away our fiduciary right to have our own choices made here in Champaign County concerning wind development. And the notes that you all have, I think you've seen them, quite extensively report how this new bill would interfere with us doing what we have done and building a very, very strong wind farm ordinance, probably a role model for the rest of the state. And when I first saw this, we've had a conference with the Illinois Council of and members of commissions and council, UCCI and Metro, with about 10 county board chairmen on the legislative committee, including McLean County, Vermilion County, and others, who are all opposed, including the county that Senator Sullivan represents. That county also has opposed this bill, and it's before the Energy Committee, and I'm going to ask those after we hopefully pass this opposition to this bill, that all of us call Senator Frerichs and Senator Rose, who are both on the Energy Committee. Mr. Frerichs, Senator Frerichs is, I think, the vice chair of the Energy Committee, where this bill is now sitting, and I would hope that they would take this up very seriously in opposing it as well, due to the fact that we have a much more stringent and strict rules and ordinances concerning wind farms. So I would hope that this body would approve the amendment and approve the full resolution. Thank you.
I'll return the chair back to you, Mr.
Thank you,
Kurtz.
John. I appreciate that. Are there any other discussion on the amendment at this point of Mr. Quisenberry? All right. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move to the main motion. Are there any further discussion on that resolution? All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Let's move on. James, are you still up there? Let's get back to your... Okay. Other business. Let's move to, where's the addendum? What's that? I'm sorry. Patsy?
Just an information question. Now that this resolution has been passed, is there a set procedure / process that we can convey this resolution upward to the decision makers?
The resolution directs the county clerk to provide a certified copy of this resolution for all the
Okay.
state legislators for Champaign County.
All right, let's move to 13 other business C. This is the, am I right?
You want to start with A?
We'll start with A, okay. Semi-annual review of closed session minutes. Deb, you want to read from the state's attorney, please?
The state's attorney recommends that pursuant to your rules, there are 6 sets of minutes that could be opened. The first are from August 22nd, 2000, and relate to litigation of a jail-related incident. According to Resolution 7969, closed session minutes related to litigation matters, there is no need to remain closed at this time for these minutes. Minutes of August 31st, 2000 concern the same manner that was listed previously. The minutes of April 17th, 2001 relate to litigation of a death in the jail. There's no need for the minutes to remain closed for litigation purposes. The minutes of September 19th, 2001 relate to litigation of a civil matter concerning the sheriff's office. Again, no need to maintain these minutes for litigation purposes as closed. October 1st, 2002 relate to litigation of a workers' compensation claim for a former employee who has since passed away. No need to maintain these as closed. And one of the sets of minutes, October 16th, 2001, the portion that begins at 7:53 p.m. Also concerns a litigation matter and is no longer to be maintained as closed.
We need a motion to open these.
So if you agree with the state's attorney's recommendation, you would move to open the listed sets of minutes and maintain all others as closed.
All right, Max, you move first. John, you second. Are there any further discussion on these opening up these minutes? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Now let's move to C. Am I right? Yeah, C. This is the approval of agreement between ASCME, Head Start, and Champaign County Board from March 1st, 2014 to February 28th, 17, Resolution 8808. And just the rank and file has approved this as stated in the contract. May I have a motion to approve this item? Lorraine, a second, please. Stan, thank you. Is there any discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. D, this is the appointment of a litigation special committee. Deb, you want to just give us a little update on so that we understand what this is?
Well, this is a committee to whom the board's attorneys can confer, similar to the Labor Committee, considering collective negotiating matters. And this committee would be convened only when there was a need. According to the board's policy, settlement authority up to $35,000 can be, on some claims, can be established by a litigation committee, and this is formally establishing that litigation committee for moving forward.
All right, I'd like to have a motion.
You need to appoint it.
I'm sorry. I'm going to appoint their 5 members to this litigation committee, Mr. Jay, Mr. Schrader, Mr. Quisenberry, Mr. Alex, and myself on this litigation committee. I'd like to have a motion first by Mr. Richards, second by Mr. James. Any discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry, Patsy.
I'd like to ask Ms. Busey for just a little background history as to why this hasn't been set up previously, or was there a certain timeline at which this needed to be set up?
There is a process that was established by the board 20 years ago that we have been following, and it's been determined that it would be probably a better idea to have a litigation committee. It also has to deal with if there's a larger litigation in which the county is involved, that this committee would be the first stop before coming to the county board for full authority on specific issues related to litigation.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to move into closed session. Okay, now, I'm going to ask if there's any other new business before we go into closed session, because if we do, we'll come out and just adjourn. What's that?
You're going to adjourn from closed.
We're going to adjourn from closed session. Is there any other new business? Okay. Who's going to read the?
I've
Chris?
got it all.
Okay.
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to consider litigation which is probable or imminent against Champaign County and litigation which is probable or imminent on behalf of Champaign County. I further move that the following individuals remain present: Ed Wagner as legal counsel, Scott Gima of MPA, Karen Nofke, the nursing home administrator, Bruce Warren as legal counsel, Amanda Tucker, HR generalist, Joel Fletcher as legal counsel, John Hall, director of planning and zoning, the county administrator, the deputy county administrator of finance, the recording secretary. I would ask for a roll call.
Thank you. Let's make it clear that there are 3 separate issues here. We don't have to do that. We'll do that in close. All right, roll call for the closed session, please. Second, I'm sorry. Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Go right ahead.
Bergson? Yes. Cowart? Yes. Esri? Yes. Harper? I'm sorry, Harkey?
Yes.
James? Yes. Jay? Yes. Kibler?
No.
Langenheim? Yes. Maxwell? McGuire?
Yes.
Michaels? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Petrie?
Yes.
Quisenberry? Yes. Richards? Yes. Rosales?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Schwartz? Alex? Bergson? I'm sorry, Kurtz.
Yes. We'll move into closed session.